The plane jolted and bumped down the runway at Heathrow, the usual rain of a grey London morning spitting on the windows, a timid sun doing its best to push aside the clouds. The plane finally rocked to a stop, and its travel-weary passengers stood in the aisles and began pulling cases from the overhead bins, the sound of zippers and latches filling the rows like a choreographed routine to signal the end of a journey. I remained in my seat, my recent dreams still lingering, recalling the images of the old magnolia tree and the large white columns of my Aunt Cassie's house and the red flowers she planted along the front steps each year in memory of my mother. A polite throat clearing brought my attention to the aisle, where the line of passengers waited for me to exit. I nodded my thanks, grabbed my backpack from beneath the seat in front of me, and headed for the exit, my thoughts still clinging to the place I'd called home for the first 18 years of my life, and where, if pressed, I'd still tell people I was from. Which was stupid, really. I'd been living in New York for 7 years and hadn't been back to Georgia for the last 3, with no plans to return anytime soon. I turned on my cell phone as I made my way toward the baggage claim. My phone dinged with 5 texts, one from my father, one from my stepmother, Suzanne, one from my sister, Sarah Frances, one from Aunt Cassie, and the most recent from Arabella, my friend from my junior year abroad at Oxford, and the reason I was in London now. I opened my phone to read Arabella's first, smiling to myself as I saw that she'd been following my flight on her phone app and knew I'd landed, and that she was waiting in the short-stay car park. I was to text her when I'd passed through passport control so that she could meet me outside Terminal 2. It was typical Arabella, the kind of person whose organizational skills were simultaneously helpful and annoying. Despite her thriving career as a fashion editor at British Vogue, her main job seemed to be organizing the social calendars and lives of her large circle of friends. I tossed my phone into my backpack, deciding the other texts could wait, and joined the throngs of people walking through passport control and customs, then began texting Arabella as I made it outside. I had barely typed my first word when I heard the rapid beeps of a car horn. I looked up to see my friend in a red BMW convertible, a hand-me-down from her mother that she'd driven while in college. The top was lowered despite the threatening skies, so I could see her curly hair creating a blonde halo around her pixie-like face. She looked like a Barbie doll, an image she liked to cultivate, if only because it hid her sharp wit and killer intellect. I did a quick double take at the large animal sitting in the driver's seat, my mind processing the image before I could remember that the British drove on the wrong side of the car and the wrong side of the road, and realized that the dog wasn't actually driving. "Maddie!" my friend shouted as the car screeched to a stop, her door opening at the same time. She ran toward me with very un-British-like enthusiasm and threw her arms around me. "It's been ages!" She hugged me for a long moment, then smiled brightly as she held me at arm's length. "Still gorgeous, Maddie, and still wearing your same uniform of jeans and button-down shirt." I pulled back, grinning. "You're just jealous because it only takes me 5 minutes to get dressed in the morning." "Oh, Maddie," she said in the prim and proper accent that I loved mimicking almost as much as she enjoyed imitating my southern accent. "What am I to do with you?" She looked behind me and frowned at the small suitcase sitting by itself. "Where's the rest of your luggage?" I took in her leopard print jumpsuit and stilettos with grudging admiration. I loved trendy clothes, as long as someone else was wearing them. My toes ached in sympathy as I estimated the height of her heels. "My laptop and camera are in my backpack, and my clothing is in the suitcase. Don't worry. All the jeans are clean, and I brought 1 dress. You said it shouldn't take more than a couple of weeks, but I brought enough underwear for 3 just in case." "Yes, well, Jean Dubose modeled for Coco Chanel in Paris. She might be an easier subject if you dressed as if you cared." "I do care about the story and writing it to the best of my ability, not about what I'm wearing when I'm interviewing a subject. Besides, Jean Dubose is 99 years old. I doubt she'll even notice."